Friends and viewers, Dostoevsky had written in his Brothers Karamazov, in his chapter 5 of Brother Karamazov, there is a beautiful monologue, the name of which is The Grand Inquisitor. I'm talking about Grand Inquisitor of Dostoevsky's Brothers Karamazov, chapter 5 of this novel. So the story of this Grand Inquisitor is that during the 16th century in Spain, at the height of the Inquisition, some resembling Christ appeared unannounced in the street. The people recognized him immediately, and he began to flock about him. But as he's healing, several of the sick and lame and old cardinal also recognized him and ordered the guard to arrest him. Once again, the Christ is abducted. He was abducted by the order of the cardinal. So that night when he was in a dungeon, he was sent to dungeon, he received a visitor. The visitor was the Grand Inquisitor, entered the darkened cell and begins a severe reprimand of Christ for appearing again and hindering the work of the church. The Grand Inquisitor explained to Christ that because of his rejection of pre-temptation, he placed an intolerable burden of freedom upon man. The church, however, is now correcting his error and aiding man by removing their awful burden of freedom. He explained that Christ erred when he was offered by the Satan, by the devil, the three a man to voluntarily choose to follow him. So, the basic nature of man, says the Inquisitor, does not allow him to reject either earthly bread or security or happiness because of that three temptation which was offered by Satan to the Christ while he was preaching on his ministry. So he had rejected those three temptation on three offer, and bread, security, happiness in exchange for something so indefinite as what Christ expect. If Christ had accepted the proffered bread, man would have been given security instead of freedom of choice. And if Christ had performed a miracle and had cast himself down from the pinnacle, man would have given something miraculous to worship. The nature of man, insists the Inquisitor, is to seek the miraculous. Finally, Christ should have accepted the power offered him by the devil. Because he did not, the church has now had to assume such power for the benefit of man. And since Christ's death, the church has been forced to correct the error made by him. Now at the last, mankind willingly submits his freedom to the church in exchange for happiness and security. This balance, says the Inquisitor, must not be upset. At the end of the monologue, the Grand Inquisitor admits that of necessity he is on the side of devil, but the challenge that Christ placed on mankind allows only a few strong to be saved. The rest must be sacrificed to these strong. The Grand Inquisitor's scheme at least provide an earthly happiness for the mass of mankind, even though it will not lead to eternal salvation. On the other hand, Christ's method would have been saved these same weak and puny men either. Those weak people. When he finished, the Grand Inquisitor looked at the Christ. He was remained silent the entire time. Now he approached the old churchman and kisses him on his dry, withered lip. The Grand Inquisitor frees him suddenly, saying that he is never to come again. Ivan finishes his story and wonder now if Alusha will reject him or try to accept him as a brother. As an answer, Alusha leans forward and kisses his brother. You are plagiarizing my poem. Ivan cries in delight. The brother leave this restaurant together and they then part, each going his separate way. So this is the Grand Inquisitor, chapter 5 of the brothers Karamazov. And this, the main theme of this is that Christ had rejected the offer of Satan, the three offer or the three temptation, on which these and placed all the burden on the mankind and also on the man's free will, and due to this rejection of these three temptation, only the strong people can be benefited from this temptation, but the rest or the majority of the people will be crushed under the burden of poverty, happiness, and security. So this is a very this chapter 5 is one of the philosophical chapter discussion between Ivan, one of the character, and Alusha, the brothers of Karamazov, the sons of Karamazov. So I hope when we will read this Grand Inquisitor, the chapter 5, that is much philosophical and we will enjoy it. Thank you.